All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia, Season 4, Episode 7. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the Council of Nighteye.
Yes, indeed. And that went very well. And a lot of things were covered, both logistically and emotionally, before, during, after. And now we've got just the mission, I guess. So
it depends on how long until they are able to gather enough info from all of the local heroes that are going to go to the specific Shie Hassaikai bases and figure out kind of where they're going to be striking from, I would say, primarily. The big thing that the Council of Nighteye also served was giving a lot more characterization to Nighteye, one of the characters with one of the more unique quirk abilities that we've seen in recent times of MHA.
And some much-needed limitations for his quirk.
That as well, but also ones where they're specifically in line with his personality, his character, and in a lot of ways what he can handle. Because thinking about, like, you know, giving kind of the future up to kind of his own view here, he's getting a huge burden put on him with regards to them being put into life or death situations, and then the toll that takes on him specifically. So, this is going to be an interesting thing. There was a really cool talk from Aizawa, aka Dad Zawa, just being a good boy, just going into our young students kind of in this heavy situation and just being like, hey guys, I get it. But don't worry, you're not alone in this. And it's going to be okay.
And even his thing to Deku of, I don't fully trust you yet, but it's going to be okay. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah. Like that was... So reassuring.
It's like All Might basically, in his little way, even though Aizawa doesn't agree with everything about him, coming through in this being like, everything is all right now. Why? Because I'm here with you. Not that I am here doing this all for you. Aizawa is basically saying, I acknowledge that y'all are the kind of people that leap forward into action.
And I'm going to be...
You should be confident in the fact that there's going to be professionals and people that care about you like me nearby.
And the feelings that drove them to do those things not by the book before was largely because they felt that they didn't have anybody to rely on. And now he's saying, hey, no. You got a safety net. You got some training wheels. The fact that you guys aren't pros yet, that's okay.
Yeah. You're licensed now. So in some ways, we're equals in a very weird way. Like, it's not like in terms of experience or anything, but on the field, when we're out there doing the stuff together, we're essentially going to be equals. It's kind of a funny thing in where because they're willing to serve in this way, they're being treated at a level where they go into the Council of Nighteye, even though they're just UA students, or even though they're just first year UA students, which is really ridiculous. And you got to imagine how Todoroki and Bakugo must feel, given that they're kind of the star pupils of UA's first year class.
Oh, definitely.
And yet they're both having to take remedials and everything. And
I cannot wait to see how Bakugo reacts when all this craziness goes down and he wasn't there.
Yep, you weren't there. It's also a fun way to hype up the idea that we have all these other characters with their powers and abilities that will get to be put on display.
Yes.
You know,
in some high stakes situations.
Some very high stakes situations.
Yeah.
I'm very, very interested to see what they're going to develop from the Yakuza perspective of things through Eri. If they're going to be giving more focus to her, like kind of point of view stuff as they've done with little end credit scenes and stuff like that. Because every time they do that, I get a little bit more of a vibe of, okay, where she's at, what she's experienced, but also like what kind of things specifically will be needed when they do rescue her.
Yeah.
So, y'all.
Oh boy.
MHA. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
All right.
That's okay.
A rather simple setup episode. We basically kind of checked in with all the characters here and kind of showcased where they're at in kind of being ready for this, because this is a new experience for all the first year UA students.
Oh yeah.
And then for the third year UA students with Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire, they are probably more familiar with this, but it's still a bigger deal specifically for them. I mean, specifically Mirio, because he is like in that kind of regret stage of like, I could have done things maybe a little bit better in the past bit there, and maybe I might have been able to get away with saving her. Yeah, because of like maybe like Mirio's quirk for one. Just and
the thing is that it's, even though they the emotional side of it wouldn't listen, even though they tell themselves that was the best move, right? So that we can be prepared. But on top of that, it's the idea of, because there was that chance, this has to work.
Right.
This has to work.
Yes.
It can't be something where all of that preparation, basically giving up that opportunity to maybe save her, and then fail here. Like that cannot happen.
And the way it's looking right now is that it's not going to be easy.
Nope.
It's not going to work as smoothly as they would like.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I see here is that they're entering a labyrinth. Like before we even get into kind of predictions of stuff, of future stuff, let's just say that like that's not a good thing. Yeah. There is so much more devastating potential that one of the Shie Hassaikai could do against like the 10 heroes that they encounter, just because they're on their own turf, and their turf is literally a dungeon. Like it is a D&D-esque dungeon with labyrinthian mazes and what have you. So that's going to be a problem. Huge moment though with Deku at the cafeteria with Todoroki and
Ida.
Yeah,
and I'm really glad that happened. I like how they played it. They didn't do the thing that like maybe would happen a lot more in real life, but doesn't make for like necessarily the best narrative in I'm really not doing well, guys. I can't tell you what it is, kind of a thing, but this means a lot to me. But we still got to see that from Deku's own internals and the struggle of him needing to be like, basically keep it to himself, right? To kind of be alone in this in a lot of ways, even though he knows he's not.
Yeah.
Because the level of stress and the messiness of and the complications of the situation that they're needing to deal with. Is so much more than they would traditionally be expected to be able to handle.
Right.
And to be forced to handle it in a way that is beyond what they would normally handle certain things that would come up, right? Like they can't talk to people about it. They can't talk to their friends about it. Like Deku can't even talk to All Might about it, right? Like that's pretty crazy. So it just adds to the complications and the stakes and everything, and which is why whatever happens here, right? Because it's gonna get complicated down here. They know they're coming, right? There's a lot of things on both sides, where it could go well for them, it could go badly for them. Who knows? Mix and match.
Yep.
But the personal stakes for Deku and Mirio are at the absolute top. Yeah. Right. I don't think they can really be any higher unless somehow All Might was also involved and he was probably going to die. So that gives so much more power and impact to those moments with Todoroki and Ida, where they're like, "Hey, you want some of our food? You seem like you're really stressed. You want some green onions with that, and I'll get you some wasabi." And like, it's
sweet.
Yeah,
because let's think about this from the perspective of the other characters. Deku has been one that has been in some ways his own little version of All Might. He shows other people what it means to be a hero. Yeah. And specifically for these two guys, his bros, he has shown them in different ways what it means to be a hero.
Yep.
And each of them here, specifically because they care about Deku, are very kind of attuned to the, hey, wait a minute, we know what you're usually like. You're a little bit off right now, aren't you? Like, what's going on? And the idea that, like, they're aware of that, but they're also in tune and then asking questions regarding that. They're still surprised when Deku's real emotions in this whole situation come out, because they're like, oh, whoa, we were right. We did stumble upon something. Like, they weren't certain. They're just, like, looking out. I love that Ida uses the same words that Deku used on him as basically a thing of like, hey, like, that meant a lot to me. I still remember it keenly as it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing this for you here because this is something that you would expect of me. Like, this is something that you would do for me again. Right. So Deku, I'm being a hero too, like you were. And that little bit for me, as someone who is a huge fan of Ida as a character, like huge fan of Ida as a character, I love it. I love it because Ida's not been really like a big part of the story in more recent times and stuff like that. So for him to be like, hey, remember that time where you were a big part of my life and growth as a hero? Yeah, I still remember that. It's a big deal for me, and I'm wanting to give that call back here. But Todoroki kind of having the like extra attentive thing of like, hey, you're not eating. Like, you're a shonen protagonist not eating food. Like,
and if there's something big going on,
super self-aware. Like, that's not good. Like, usually you should be like pounding away the
that's right,
the meat, and I mean that's fried meat there. Like, what?
Oh yeah, and they made it look so good.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, like
And so that was just fantastic. But then Aizawa even bringing it up again when they're all squatting up, and he's like, hey, I'm with the Night-Eye group, so you know what that means. You got this. Yeah. It's like, all right, cool. Yeah. But all the emotions and stuff aside, I actually feel very badly about this because one of the things that they did that they didn't show us, but they did kind of hint at, was that the Shie Hassaikai is specifically going to mitigate their approach, and they told us via them handing out those pamphlets of like, here are some quirks we can expect to encounter in our, in our dealings here. But Overhaul and Chronostasis are like confident in their not even really been showcased characters being like, they'll handle this whole thing there.
And a lot of it is probably because, they're all going to be juiced up and whatnot. So, because they don't have to fight with the same tools and on the same level as the heroes, right?
Right. But just the fact that they're like, this is the classic villain thing of, yes, we'll let the pawns deal with that, and if they get past the pawns, then that's okay. We got knights, bishops, and rooks. That's no problem here.
And we have the home field advantage because it is a maze down here. And and the whole thing of like, there's a large group of people all moving in the same direction. It's like, okay, they know where they're going. It's like, yeah, brilliant, of course, right? If they see people doing that, then it's like, all right. I mean, and they move airy anyways. But the idea of like, no, they know exactly where they're going.
Right.
But that can all be that advantage can be thrown away once Eri moves. And it's one of those things where it's like, because in a lot of ways the heroes had to observe protocol. Right. They had to read the warrant and everything like that, and and all that stuff. They couldn't just have a hero basically trespass, infiltrate the place to try and go to that location and ascertain what's going on. Like in many ways, like imagine Edge Shot. Like
imagine Edge Shot. Just casually scouting out the place.
Yeah, just casually scouts out the place, turns two-dimensional, folds himself up into something this thin that like you have to be at the right angle in order to see any of it, right?
Yeah, or he just digs through the dirt, basically.
Oh yeah, just slices right through the dirt and doesn't even slice through it. He's two-dimensional. Right, like just gets there.
He's like thinner than paper, He
right, exactly.
Like anything, just like
that. And then he or even Mirio, like just drop.
In some ways, I would say Mirio staying with the group is something I'm very happy about because the minute he splits off from the group, I'm worried very much for him. And I'll just say right now, this is how they win. Right here, you have them all coming in as this big, massive, blundering group. Just provide there to be any means by which they start splitting up the party, which is almost the most classic shonen thing you do to be able to handle them into one-on-one fights and little things like that.
Right.
Cool. As long as I would say the heroes are moving as a group, or even as a group of more than 3, like I would say as long as there's like 4 or more.
Right, and it's not like just the kids or something.
Right, exactly. You split up pros and kids. I'm thinking that's probably what they're going to do anyway, just for the purpose of cool factor, is we want to showcase the big 3 primarily. We want to showcase, Deku, Uraraka, Asui, and Kirishima. And it's like, okay, cool. But then we have all these new characters on the hero side of things with their quirks. okay, they're going to be interesting. They probably have someone that will be very helpful in an underground setting. They probably have support heroes, like specific heroes for. Like imagine all it takes, guys. This is actually the thing that I'm very worried about from the hero's perspective. Is let's say we take the home field advantage and we apply that to quirks. What is the most common thing to do when you're dungeon crawling in D&D? You send the rogue ahead to scout for traps, right? Yes. Why do you do that? Because traps can insta-kill party members and have zero prejudice, whatever, no warning, no nothing, you're dead.
That's why. Like, as soon as they figured out that there is actually a labyrinth down there and that this specific path leads to Eri, they should have just been like, okay, let's special order call in, like, on, like, get a hero over here as fast as possible that has some sort of echolocation,
reconnaissance, like any kind of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like what's his face? Dupla arms, and Shoji, yeah, like Shoji or earphone jack girl, right? Like either of them, just and if there's two in class 1A, then I can imagine they would be pretty easy to find a legit pro,
Sure.
And then just be like, okay, cool. Have that. Make sure that they're like, and they might still have one of those people.
Yeah, that's probably what one of the characters we're gonna see is.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, cool.
Right. I'll just tell you that if you have one member of the Yakuza Shie Hassaikai group have any kind of trap-based quirk in the slightest, they could probably wipe out half of them if this was a show that was that violent. And the thing is that specifically in this season, they've been dialing up the violence. Basically telling us, hey guys, people can die. And we're going to kill people. And it's not just going to be Darth Vader choking out his subordinates kind of deaths like what they're doing with Overhaul. Like here's my main worry. There's like two specific quirks that I'm genuinely worried about. One here is magical darkness. Anything that restricts the ability for them to perceive what's going on in the dungeon. One of the most common problems in the dungeon is, did you bring enough torches?
Right. And that's why having someone with a quirk that can just, because, again, if Shoji was down there, it's just, boop,
Anything that messes with their perception, heroes are screwed. Second one is, what would happen if Toph was down here? The heroes would just win. But what if we have someone that's...
What if Toph was on the other side?
What if Toph was on the other side?
Boned, you're dead.
And you're all screwed.
Yeah,
So
you're in a box.
Yeah, right. I hope they have someone at the very least who can just dig, burrow, anything like that. Because what I'm thinking they should do is the minute they get kind of down a little bit is just go like, this is the point where we're going... straight line, brrr, and like imagine someone with like a varying kind of level of like concussive, like just kind of displacement quirk where they just go boom, and then everything just kind of boom, and they just create their own way straight through it.
I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a meme of like, I know I shouldn't have given them the gauntlet or the belt of giant strength and the adamantine shield,
right?
And it's like, and it just shows a dungeon with like, all the mazes and stuff, and just a broken wall all the way through in a straight line, like just the idea of like, that was a bad idea.
Basically. I think that the heroes are coming in probably with more than enough quirks, people, professionals, and all that to get the job done. But I think they've been setting this up to where we will literally have heroes die.
Yeah, well, I mean, why else have a bunch of heroes that aren't kids, right? And especially when you haven't fully introduced them. Because there's when they have a place in hero society, right? And it's like, okay, I don't want to get rid of Best Genist because he's got a really cool design. He's got his position in the hero rankings. He should have
died, but
he should have died. Whatever. There is literally no reason why he should still be alive right now, but whatever. But for all these other heroes, you can just be like, oh yeah, they've got a cool quirk. They can do this thing, like the guy that froze the wooden panel in place,
Amazing. And then he unfreezes it and it continues its momentum path along the way.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That actually sounds like what chronostasis would be in a lot of ways. If it was a quirk.
Right, but maybe able to be used on people and things. Like, because with the stasis, the regular stasis guy, where he would really be just devastating.
Rocklock, are you talking about?
Rocklock, yeah. Is like on a freeway or something,
Does he have to maybe grab it, though?
I think he had to grab it and throw it, but even so, like, you know, you just lean out the car window or something like that, and yeah. But,
Yeah. Actually, Rocklock seems like the kind of person who would be very helpful in this type of situation here, because if there is any kind of, like, cave-in or explosions or what have you, if they get him to basically be, you know, able to touch things or what have you, he can
just... too. Like
Uraraka and him together are a terrifying combo.
Floats back up, held there, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah. That is a perfect combo.
If they don't have that happen at some point, I will be very surprised.
Yeah, because I would be surprised too. Horikoshi has some good imagination with how he uses the quirks. Yeah.
Well, and one of the other crazy things here. Now, so there was a part of me in this episode that started getting concerned about Mirio specifically.
Oh,
like, did you get that too? Like, did you sense that too?
Yep, yeah. Just a little bit.
And in this situation, because Mirio's quirk is so ridiculously good, it works very well underground, right?
Yes.
Because as amazing as quirks can be, and as amazing as all this stuff can be, the base rules of D&D are what, like, are the most powerful. Right. You know, falling damage, action economy, movement speed. You know, like just all these kinds of things, right? And if there's situations where they just obstruct the hero's path, now because Uraraka and Rocklock, they will be fantastic at bypassing a lot of those things, but let's say there's a situation where they don't, or they're separated or whatever, right? Mirio could be very, very tempted to just be like, I can move faster. Yeah. I can get there ahead of you guys, right?
Monk shit, basically.
Yeah, exactly. The monk that goes off, and they're awesome and they're badass, but then they're alone, right? And that's a problem.
And patient defense will only get you so far.
Exactly. So
yeah. I think that, if anything, Mirio is the rogue that you would send ahead. But I think what, if anything, will happen is that the party will get split up, because it's a big party. Yeah. And once they realize also that she's not there, they have to go and look for her. So that might naturally make them split up. Yep. But he would be the best person to bounce around the groups and relay messages, unless they're all walkied in. Right. Which I almost think they can't count on that if they are walkied in. Because if I was the villains here, I would basically have it where we don't need to communicate. We already know what we're supposed to do.
Exactly. It's
and if anything, plan. We have a specific quirk person that will run interference in the same way that the League of Villains did in season 1. And they could it'll be like, all electronic gear is now shorting out and having all kinds of equipment malfunctions,
or just as simple as, you can't get a signal down here.
Oh, it's that deep.
It's that deep underground. There's 10 feet of concrete. You know, nothing gets through.
Good point.
But for them, maybe they have stuff that's actually hardwired through, so it's not a problem, right? Home field advantage.
Home field advantage. Yep.
Like there's.
Yep.
Yeah. Batman with prep time. Like there's.
I mean, we scried in here, so we got through maybe the first layer. It's that second layer where it's like, okay, if we do well enough, what I think the heroes will get out of this is they will completely decimate the Shie Hassaikai. But
will Eri get away?
I think that Eri will get away temporarily, and the main problem will be that they'll get pushed into corners where they'll do things that don't really have them feeling limited in what kind of collateral damage they do, not only to each other but to their own base. And,
and there was the whole thing
knowing that there's so many other of them out there.
And there was the whole thing that they brought up of like, oh, we're gonna make it be spun as the heroes were just like overly violent and stuff.
Sure. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Because that means like a publicity stunt more than just get rid of heroes' quirks, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah, also, we didn't even think about the idea of traps being something that would be specifically a way to fire off those little dart bullets.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like, you could literally have tripwires and all kinds of things in place here, maybe even some kind of little mini turrets or what have you, where a narrow, focused, straight hallway just suddenly
becomes a death trap.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, after you neutralize the quirks, then you actually have more basic traps, right? That can actually like just kill people if they're regular people. And unless you have some heteromorphic, protective person like Kirishima.
Well, fat gum.
Well, yeah.
Big fat, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, he could theoretically lose his quirk too. And, we talked in the previous episode about how gruesome that could get. But,
that's another thing is it might not even be necessarily about whether or not any of the heroes specifically die. It's just that they lose their quirk and they have to get shipped off the battlefield essentially because now they're dead weight.
Right.
In terms of
until the next long rest, you can't have your abilities. Yeah.
Right. And we all know that 10 minutes is basically the entire combat plus 2 other sessions basically in terms of a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
Door by door.
If you're moving quick.
You're moving quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to look forward to.
Yes. I gotta say, even though this is like a little thing that they don't have to have happen and all that stuff, but from a world building perspective, I love the idea of Shoji's going about his day. There's all this weird stuff, the work study's going on, and then he gets a message. Aizawa comes to his room late one night and he's like, "Hey, we need you for something."
That would be
last minute, awesome. Not the idea that necessarily has to happen here, but the idea that that's the kind of thing that could happen, where it's like you have a quirk that is literally like will make our job 10 million times easier.
Yeah.
Could you just come along real quick? Like the equivalent of almost like a Black Ops mission, but just of like, just come with us. Right. You don't need to fight or do anything. Just be with us and relay information.
Yeah, I think that they would never ask a kid to do that.
Right.
I think they would have. I think they would have like that group of 5 people that are on a team, and their whole team purpose is, we're the reconnaissance,
right?
Investigate mines team.
We are the May, support hero group for like tech and stuff, but we are the support quirks people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, that's another thing we didn't really bring up is whether or not they came in with specific kind of support gear that'll be useful for certain things. Because we all know if we're going to do a dungeon crawl with a D&D kind of inspired setup, we need some magic items.
Or even just the basic items. We need some caltrops. We need some flasks of oil.
Yeah, we need
pitons and stuff.
All kinds of stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, then here we go. I would love, personally, I would love actually to have the pace slow down dramatically here and us to go into the nitty gritty of actually what it takes to dungeon crawl in the MHA world.
Sure.
Because in some ways that's going to make the conflict feel a little bit more terrifying, because even just encountering 1 or 2 of the enemy will be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I would rather that be the case than it's like, the 10 shadow beasts. I mean, the 10 Shie Hassaikai, they're such a big
magic
deal.
Bullets or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they are.
Right.
Next episode, like 6 out of 8 are already incapacitated.
Well, but that's the thing. Since it's the heroes coming in, not villains, then we aren't just going to be sacrificing these people for the sake of building them up.
Right.
Most likely.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it's just going to be messy. And
right.
That sounds awesome.
And the fact that, episode 10 and 11 generally tends to be like where stuff goes down. So we're getting close to that.
Yeah. So y'all, if you want to see the full-length version of this reaction here. I was about to say early access, but we're doing these week by week. Check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get, through any level support, access to our Discord, where you can get involved with the community there, chatting about this story. There's anime-onlys in there. There's manga people in there, so all that's good. You can chat with us about anime in general. Also with stories like specifically Jacob's book that he wrote.
That's right. Yeah. I wrote a sci-fi novel, in case you hadn't heard. It's called Battle Lines. It's awesome, and it is available for purchase on Amazon. Link is in the description. You can get it in both hardcover and ebook, so whichever works best for you. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.